Service Committee to order at 12 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Commissioners Nelson,
Here.
Rutherford is absent with notice. Miller,
Here.
Commissioners Jackson,
Here.
Powell, Commissioner Powell. I'll come back to her. Commissioner Markham.
Here.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, Commissioner Powell's here. Commissioner Gingell is absent with notice, and Commissioner Hoffman,
Here.
Commissioner Lubes.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. I need a motion for approval of the minutes.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Nelson, supported by Commissioner Hoffman.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
If I may, the minutes were not approved, they were not ready for the packet. So
Okay.
They're not there.
All right, then delete that, we'll ignore that. We'll move on to approval of the agenda. So approved by Commissioner Nelson, supported by Commissioner Hoffman. Is there any comment on the agenda? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. We move on to public comment. Is there any public wishing to comment?
Hi, good morning. Currently, your public comment lines are open and stable, and there are no callers, and there are no online submissions.
Thank you. All right, public comment is closed. We move on to communications. I have a motion by Commissioner Jackson, support by Commissioner Nelson. Under communications is the Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center grant application, the Animal Control Disposition Report, Children's Village Lunch Program application, the Victims' Right Grant application from our prosecuting attorney, Michigan Drug Court grant application from 52-3 District Court in Rochester Hills, the Retirement and Deferred Compensation Board minutes, and the Viva Board minutes. Is there any comment on communications? So we'll receive and file that. We'll have a voice vote. Oh, yes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Aye.
Communications are received and filed. We move on to our regular agenda. The first item is an update on legislative activities. So this is something we're going to receive and file?
We didn't receive any documents for the packet, so I think it's just a verbal,
Yep.
correct, Mr.
All right. Is Jim on the line?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Jim. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Ready to go? You want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I guess it will come as no surprise to any of you that the 98% of the focus of Lansing is on response to the COVID virus, whether it's regulatory reform issues or budgetary issues. As of today, they have been out of session now for a couple weeks. They are coming back next week for a day or two, and then likely to recess till August after primaries. So there isn't a lot of activity, public activity going on with respect to sessions and committees, but there is a great deal of work going on behind the scenes relative to appropriations. I think you'll likely remember the last time we talked, we are faced with about a $2 billion deficit, the balance of this fiscal year, which ends October 1, combined with a projected $4 billion deficit for next fiscal year, which is a budget we are also currently working on next year's budget as well as the current year budget. So needless to say, it is very bleak with respect to appropriations. A little bit of good news is there is $100 million available right now for hazard pay for law enforcement and related first responders like corrections officers, 911 operators, EMTs, and the like. That counties, I'm sure, Oakland knows that is available to apply for on Treasury's website as we speak. So there is that available. There is not currently available paycheck protection funds for Oakland, Kent, Macomb, and Wayne, but in the next round, there likely will be for paycheck protection for like county healthcare workers. If anyone has a question as I'm going through these items, please, feel free to interrupt me and ask a question. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to go until I get through the list. So.
Fine.
You may know that the governor last week vetoed some legislation that would have allowed summer taxes to be deferred. In her veto message, it's her legal understanding that the state is not allowed to borrow the funds in order to defer the summertime taxes. So the legislature asked her if she would be willing to work with her to find another way to go about doing this, and they agreed to that. And the legislature and the administration are working on other avenues in which we can still defer the summer taxes. What seems to be coming out of that discussion is that counties can borrow the funds needed to do this, whereas the state cannot. So if that's possible, will all counties be willing to get together and do the borrowing themselves and ultimately be reimbursed? But at least they do have that authority. So I think it's very positive that the legislature seems to be wanting just as badly as the administration to solve this issue. So time will tell. Obviously, we'll see how the negotiations continue. Another important appropriation, you can see the trend here. It all has to do with money. Another important piece of legislation that is likely to come up next week in the Senate Judiciary is the court funding extensions, whereby the ability of the courts to collect fees and fines, that act is sunsetting. So this is merely an extension of the court's ability to do that. There is no apparent opposition to that. It's just a matter of the legislature coming in, voting on it, and the governor signing it. I don't see a problem with that happening. So that's a positive. I know Chris Ward was asking me a while ago about this. The Open Meetings Act allowing for virtual meetings such as this needs to be extended once again. The governor is likely going to do that. There are also some legislators talking about the possibility of introducing legislation in order to provide a permanent opportunity for virtual meetings to qualify for the Open Meetings Act. So we'll see where that goes, but at least I think you can be confident that your ability to continue with the virtual meetings will move along. And then last but not least, there still is the bill out there that is changing county commissioners' terms from 2 to 4 years. There's not a lot of agreement on these bills. However, the bill sponsors are still pushing them. And I just want you to be aware that it's out there. Again, there doesn't seem to be a general consensus on which version is going to take place, or if anything's going to move at all. But I know that's obviously of interest to you, so I just wanted to give you a brief update on that. The fact that it's still alive, but not going anywhere. That's the extent of my list. I'm happy to try to answer any questions you might have, or find out some answers if I don't know the answer.
Thank you. Commissioner Nelson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ryan, for those updates. Do we have any updates on anything public ed related?
Other than what the governor's public comments were last week, there really isn't anything, not specifically. I know the Republican legislature is pushing back strongly on what the governor's feelings are in towards of opening up school in August. So that fight's going to happen. Obviously, we'll see.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. No further questions, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Hoffman? You're on mute. Oh,
Thank you, Penny. And thank you, Jim. And if you mentioned this already and I didn't hear it, I apologize. We are facing a big deficit in Lansing. What they say, $2 to $3 billion. What's the plan for making that up? Are they talking about new taxes, new fees, cutbacks?
I can tell you that there is a lot of hope that the federal government is going to be funneling more money, possibly in a third round of state support or local support. It seems as if 2 days ago there was a significant meeting with local officials around the country in Steve Mnuchin's office, and word out of Mnuchin's office was that he is relatively sure there will be another round of funding. However, the conversations that I hear in both the Senate and House Appropriations Committee is that they have asked the departments to come back to them with a 10% across the board cut, a 20% across the board cut, and a 30% across the board cut, having to assume that there won't be any money. And if there is another round, I don't see any way in which it's going to be the 7.2 billion we're going to need. So I anticipate even if we do get federal funding, it's going to be a very ugly cutting process. Nobody has mentioned any increases so far.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And one other comment about getting money from the federal government. They don't have any. All we do is keep making the deficit bigger.
Yeah, I mean, they can print money, we can't. So that's
I know. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much. It's always nice to hear the updates.
Great, thank you. I appreciate it. Everybody stay safe out there.
Yes. All right, our next item is from the circuit court regarding the senior psychologist and college intern positions. I need a motion. Moved by Commissioner Nelson, supported by Commissioner Miller. Then we have Kevin Offner here to speak to that. Hi, Kevin.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon, commissioners, and thank you very much for considering this item. We appreciate it. So the resolution before you essentially deletes a part-time senior psychologist position that we currently have on staff and replaces it with a full-time senior psychologist position. And it also deletes 4 other college intern positions that we have, so that there's no additional cost to the county to essentially convert what is currently a part-time psychologist position to full-time. Some of you may know that the county, the circuit court has had within its operations for decades a psychological clinic to which the judges can refer juveniles in delinquency and neglect cases and even their parents in those cases for psychological exams that are ordered by the court. This office then performs the exam. It might mean multiple interviews with the juvenile or with the parent. They write a report, and then typically they testify in court at the request of the judge. And so we have had some trouble filling the part-time position. In fact, we just haven't been successful in doing that. And our hope is that if we could convert it to a full-time position with fringe benefits, that we might be successful in getting that position filled. We did not want to generate any additional costs to the county. So I spoke with my judges and we agreed to make some budget reductions that we understand will fully offset the cost of the new position. We shared those budget reductions with the county executive's office and they did support it. And so the resolution was drafted and is before you today. Judges, I'm sorry, I'm on a judges meeting right now with my judges too, and I have them on mute. So I apologize for calling you judges. I didn't mean to reclassify you. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And I'm sorry for the somewhat short-winded explanation. I apologize for that.
Thank you. It is a much needed service. I work with children and families in my day job, and frequently people will call to say the court ordered this. Would my day job do that? And we refer them back to the psychological court at Oakland County. So it's well utilized. Are there any comments or questions? All right, thank you, Kevin. Oh, no, question from Commissioner Miller.
Oh, just a comment. My wife is actually in the psychology business as well, so I understand now more that it's much needed in the area you work in. But I also appreciate, as a labor person, the fighting for benefits, and my hat's off to you and the other judges for taking that the cut of your budget to make that happen. That's very honorable, you guys, and I appreciate that as a labor person and as a husband of a psychologist.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
On item number 2, Commissioners Nelson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Loops.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 7 yeas and 0 nays. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, commissioners. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Our next item is regarding public services, community corrections. The Michigan Department of Corrections Office of Community Corrections Comprehensive Plan and Application for the upcoming fiscal year. I have a motion by Commissioner Nelson and support by Commissioner Jackson. We have Barb Henke here to speak to this issue.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Barb Henke. I'm the manager for Community Corrections. And this resolution is to approve our plan and application for FY21. For 21, we are asking for the exact same amount that we received in this fiscal year, and that's for $1,872,553. And those monies are used to continue to fund and support our programs, services, and staff at Community Corrections.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? It's well needed. All right, roll call, please.
On item number 3, Commissioners Miller,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Loops.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 7 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Thank you, Barb. I am the mother of a correctional officer not in Oakland County, so I do appreciate the work you do and understand some of it. Thank you. Our next item is to recognize July as Minority Mental Health Awareness Month in Oakland County. So I have a motion by Commissioner Jackson, support by Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Jackson, is there anything you'd like to add to this?
I just want to state real quickly that it is an initiative originated out of Oakland County Community Mental Health, OCHN, I think is the abbreviation. And so it's just really to recognize the fact that they have cited this as minority mental health. And with everything that's been going on and the discussions we've had about different experiences in the institutions that we represent, like including the healthcare, mental health providers, that, you know, we recognize this for the needs that the minority population has. So I would be very grateful for everybody to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Many other comments regarding our last item? Roll call, please.
On item number 4, Commissioners Jackson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Loops.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. The motion carries. Is there any other business to come before this board? All right, seeing none, I will declare this committee meeting adjourned. I'll see everybody tomorrow.